Welcome back to the Cyprus Advantage Architecture series. This is episode number 3 out of 4. In episodes 1 and 2, we designed the full blueprint, the lead system, the qualification process, and the deal pipelines. If you haven't watched those yet, start there first. Now comes the part that most projects go wrong, the handoff between the architect and the delivery team. A great blueprint means nothing if the team building it doesn't fully understand the vision and the logic behind every decision. In this episode, David and Carol sit down with Roman, the project manager who will oversee the entire build. Roman is hearing a lot of this for the first time, and the questions he asks are exactly the kind of questions that will reveal the details that we didn't think about in the architecture sessions. This is where the blueprint gets stress tested. Let's see how this all holds up.
Okay, good morning, Roman. Thanks for taking time to meet with Carol and I. We want to do a handoff to you of a new customer. We already did the leads and deals architecture session. I'll give you a bit of a breakdown on the company. Because we're building this as a video, Lior, who is in fact also the customer, is here. Typically, as you well know, that this would not be a customer-facing session. But if we have questions for the purposes of informing the video with more detail, Lior is participating here. The company is called the Cyprus Advantage. The purpose of the company is to help businesses and individuals who are interested in immigrating into Cyprus navigate the complexities of that immigration process. And they have a few different pipelines, including real estate and company and so on. Carol will break down those pipelines for you as we go because they become important in terms of the different sets of actions. So that's the company, and that's the customer background. I think as Carol goes through, you'll see both on the lead side and the deal side some of the nuances and differences that his company has from some of our other customers. So Carol, I'll turn it over to you now to start breaking things down for Roman.
Okay, awesome. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we do have a complete lead system here, and then we also have a deal system that we're going to go through. So let's get started with the lead sources. So let me just zoom in so you can see what we're talking about. So the first thing we have are social ads and Google ads. The most important thing you need to know about this is that they're not actually using them yet. So that's something that they're looking to do in the future. But I do want to take that into account as we build the system because they're going to want to use our campaign tracking for that.
I see. So we don't have any information yet on how many paid ads they could be possibly running or how they want to do the integration for the tracking of the ads and stuff like that.
Not at the moment. No.
Not at the moment. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. The next one is going to be phone call. So with the phone call, they do have a system that is integrated with GoHighLevel, and they're handling their phone calls through that platform. So there's nothing that we necessarily need to do on the Zoho side of that.
So essentially, whenever they receive a phone call, they're just going to be manually creating a lead and putting in the data manually, or...
Lior, do you want the integration from GoHighLevel to come into the CRM so that you're not manually creating those?
Yeah, so the only thing I would need is just pushing the phone logs just to know if the team is actually making the phone calls, right? So if a lead comes in, the team will have a phone call. I want to see that they actually made the call based on the call log.
We know we have that standard report, Roman, that claimed versus actual, so we need that telephony integration to populate it.
But when the call is coming in, technically it doesn't create a lead or anything like that automatically, or does it?
No, it's not.
No. Okay.
Okay, and then they do have a form on the website that's currently coming into the CRM. So I would just say, let's check on that, see what kind of form it is, and see if there's anything we can do to make that more efficient. Nothing to do on emails for referrals.
Sorry,
So-
just quick question on the form. Do we know how they currently integrated it? Like if it's just an iframe, or did they actually use JavaScript to integrate it?
So I will break in 1 second. I think I want to change something from the original architecture that can help. One will be, we currently have a form on the website that is pushing the information to Zoho CRM. Very simple in Zoho CRM, almost bare bones, bottom line. There is nothing there. But what I do want is to have a Zoho form that sometimes people just want to hire us. They already know what we do and they just want to hire us. I would like to have a Zoho form that phase one, people enter the information to the form. When they submit, they will go to a Zoho sign page. All the information will be pre-filled. They can sign, and then it will come to us as a signed agreement.
Okay.
So it's saving us a bunch of time in the process.
Yeah, we've done it before, and that's not a problem.
And referrals. So we typically have a system to track referrals, right? This is going to be just a little bit different because typically when we're tracking referrals, we're asking for the contact name. In this case, it could be a contact, but it also could be an account. So it could be a company that's sending referrals their way. So with that, when we ask, is it a referral, yes or no, we'll populate both the account and the contact field, and they could put either one in there.
In my case, we can have it only on the contact level because the companies that I'm working with will have many people working there, and sometimes multiple people will refer business our way. So if I track it on the contact level, perfect for me.
Okay, so we'll do it the same way we normally do.
Is it always going to be the case that it's somebody who's going to be in the system, or do we need to handle a case where it's a referral that is external to the system?
Also external. We're just getting more and more referral sources all the time. So that will be great if we can add new ones.
So for the external ones, you want to create a new record for a referral, or do you
new or existing?
Got it. Okay.
In addition to tracking that referral source, I'm assuming we're going to be using that as part of the priority setting when we do the priority calculation for the lead, the follow-up system. To use the fact if it's a referral, I'm assuming, Lior, that you put a heavier weight on referrals versus cold leads.
Yeah, and that you're raising a beautiful point here. I didn't think about it. If, for example, there is a referral that's sending me a bunch of business, obviously, whoever they're sending needs to get top priority over cold or warm. So for sure, when referrals comes from a referral, then they will get the highest priority. So the team will know to concentrate on them versus others.
Is there any kickback tracking functionality needed for referrals?
No, just about giving them value. We work with developers, real estate agents, different people that it's in their interest to have someone that will take care of the immigration process in a good way. And this is why they're sending our way. We don't give commission.
But it's still worth tracking, the amount per source, because Lior, at some point you may plan some events and you're going to want to know who to invite to your particular events. And this could be a good indicator as to whether they should get an invitation or not.
100%. Also saying thank you. It's a part of how we function, right? So absolutely.
And then we have Facebook and WhatsApp. And so for these, they get a lot of people just kind of sending messages, especially on WhatsApp. And the idea here is that we need a way to kind of soft qualify people when they send a WhatsApp message, right? So there are certain things like you do need to be financially ready to make this move, for example. And some people are coming unprepared for things like that. So we do need to ask a few questions just to make sure they have everything they need to be a serious candidate for this.
So it's essentially a self-disclosed means test, Roman. There's no we're not checking credit or anything like that, but some of the questions are qualifying questions to determine means, because you have to have some financial means to make this type of move.
How is this going to cross with let's say the Zoho form that they are using? So for example, people can initiate communication from different platforms, like let's say you said Facebook, WhatsApp, but then there's also the form. how do they cross, if they initiate, let's say somebody initiates communication from WhatsApp, do we create something in the system, or it only will be created once they actually submit a Zoho form?
So for the WhatsApp, I think Carol and David offered to go with AI. And I already worked with Eli on the structure of the AI. The goal is that we are going to ask questions to know if they are qualified without asking how much money. So where you work, what is your profession?
Do you own any property?
Yeah, if you have, you inherit anything, if you care about inheritance tax, just questions around if you have money. And based on that, the AI will know how to qualify them.
Are those the same questions essentially that you're also asking in the Zoho form? Like, is that the same process essentially, or is it slightly different?
No. So the Zoho form is going to be on the website. It will push a lead, and Carol, correct me if I'm wrong, that's based on what you explained in the previous meeting. So a form will come to the Zoho as a new lead, and then the system will give them a phone call using AI. So a human is not involved. And then they will receive a phone call, and the AI, the same brain, will qualify them the same way that we are qualifying on WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's correct.
And where is the WhatsApp initiated? Is it also through the website, or it's somewhere else? Where can they initiate?
We have a bunch of videos, and also the referrals will give our WhatsApp number, and also it's on our website. So they will usually start a conversation with a chat. And the chat is connected to, eventually will be connected to the AI that the ABR is going to create.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
So if the way that I see it, it's not a common lead process, but think about it as a lead will have two stages, unqualified and qualified. Unqualified, it's leads coming in. Before they answered all the questions, they're still unqualified, and the human will not touch them. The moment that they are qualified, only then a human will connect with them.
Makes perfect sense for this.
So we are not wasting time.
And then the last one is going to be trade show. So we're going to do what we typically do there and create a form. So the idea behind it is that when you go to a trade show, typically you are scanning badges and collecting information, and then there's an influx of emails after the trade show's over. So we want a very simple Zoho form that can be filled out on the spot, and that way we are making it to these people's inbox before everyone else. So we're going to do that at the time of the trade show rather than waiting until after.
Yeah, makes sense.
When a lead is created in the CRM, we're going to check the email, phone number, and mobile number. If any one of these three match, then we'll merge the records together.
So, okay.
Yeah.
I will tell you the problem, Roman. Currently, same people will send 5, 6, 8 leads at the same time. And because of that, you have multiple employees working on multiple swimming lanes, which is the same person. So sometimes the lead is upset. Sometimes our team, are just have multiple efforts on the same person. So none of that's supposed to happen, obviously, in a good system, which that's what we're trying to do now.
No, absolutely. So we need to make sure that there's no duplication and also a proper role assignment, lead owner assignment process in place.
Yep. And if there will be a duplicate lead, then the original lead owner will receive a notification that a new lead was created. So they will be aware.
And then for the lead assignment, we're going to do it based on service. So as David mentioned in the beginning, we're going to have 3 pipelines. So we have one for each type of service. So if someone's opening a corporation, we have immigration services, and then we have the properties. And so the idea is that based on that, they'll get assigned to someone who specializes in that area. And then this is also going to trigger what pipeline we're going into when we convert the lead.
How about on the lead level? So let's say we have corp, immigration, properties. We mentioned that there's going to be a qualification process. Is that qualification process the same for all of them, or anything needs to be different during the qualification process on the lead level.
Sorry, qualification will be the same for all three, but one thing you should note is that the real estate pipeline is going to be the kind of the financial anchor for the company, and the concept of customers versus files is different. So each pipeline, you might have one customer that exists in all three pipelines. So those have to have a parent-child relationship. So each of those pipelines, each activity would be called a file. So if someone's buying a property or someone's incorporating locally, those will each be a file, but it'll still be connected to the same account, the same customer. So we have to have build that parent-child relationship.
So on the lead level, are we making this corp immigration and properties as a multi-select or just a single select? Can we only select one service per lead at a time, or can we allow them to select multiple services on the lead level and then just create multiple opportunities out of it when we convert it?
Correct. We want to find out what they're interested in right out of the gate, so they can choose 1, 2, or 3 of the things that they're interested in. And that way, if more services are developed in future, we can expand that checklist and that interest level. And then we just would generate a file for each of those interests if they get converted after qualification.
So that means on the lead level, we're going to allow them to select multiple of those. So let's say if they select corp and immigration, do they just go through a single verification process and they technically qualified for both, or?
So the qualification process is really going to be that self-disclosed means test, regardless of what they're doing. If you want to immigrate there, part of the requirements are you have to be able to purchase a property there. So you need to have that same amount. So even if they don't end up going through that property purchase through the Cyprus Advantage, that's still going to be ultimately a requirement for them to do their immigration. So that means test is going to apply even for just immigration. So it's sort of one qualification process.
I see. I'm just thinking of a case scenario, like we're going to need to manage somehow in a sense of, let's say they selected 2 of those, like corp and immigration. Throughout the qualification process, they decided to go only with immigration and not corp. So we need to have a condition, like when we convert it into an opportunity, to ensure that we know that they decided to go forward only with immigration. So we create an opportunity only for immigration.
Right.
Because
that's part of that qualification process, right? As we're qualifying leads and we do convert to a deal, we know then what the true interest level is, and we can adjust, if we end up narrowing the focus to just the property or just the company because they have a brother-in-law who's got a property there who's going to rent it to them or give it to them or whatever the case may be. Part of that qualification process is getting to know the lead and getting to know the potential customer.
Okay, so just on the technical level, we're going to need an additional indicator there, because I'm assuming that we don't want to change their level of interest. We still want to know that they were initially interested in corp and immigration, but down the road they decided to go, let's say, with just immigration. So we're going to indicate that on the lead level, so that when we convert it, it only creates the opportunity for immigration.
Right. As that lead comes in, they've already filled out the form and checked what they're interested in, and that becomes permanent part of the lead record. And then at the point of qualification and conversion, the stuff we actually put them in terms of pipeline will be one. So that record, that progression will always be visible in the system.
Okay.
All right. So let's get into the AI a little bit. So the lead is created, and immediately the AI is going to call the lead and try to do that soft qualification. If they don't answer the phone for the AI, we want to send a WhatsApp message to the person, letting them know that we were trying to call. So let's talk about the AI for a second. So the idea is that the lead comes into the system and the AI is going to call out to the lead to do that soft qualification. If they do not answer the phone when the AI calls, then we want to send a WhatsApp message to them.
I see. So just a little note regarding the WhatsApp message, because I know that WhatsApp has this thing that they require the customer to initiate the conversation. So just wondering how we're going to handle that.
Yeah. You're right, guys. Let's leave that open. I don't want to use text messages because we're dealing with multiple countries, people from Germany, from the UK, from a bunch of countries. That can be a problem. Let's leave that open. For now, let's remove the need to send them WhatsApp message. I will come back to you with an answer about that.
Okay. And so on the topic of the AI, if the person doesn't answer the phone and we have to send that email out, now the lead is going to switch hands from the AI to a salesperson. So what's going to happen is the escalation is going to start either once the AI qualifies them or once they don't pick up the phone. So there's two ways to start this escalation. And so the idea is that the salesperson has 30 minutes to try to reach out to the lead. If they don't do that and the lead just sits there, what we're going to do is reassign that lead to a different salesperson via round robin. And then what we're going to do is have a report showing how often the lead was reassigned, when, who it was reassigned to. So that way, if there's any trend with a certain salesperson not...
So just to clarify, so AI calls first. If there is no response, does AI try to call again or right away reassigning it to the real person?
So the initial thought was that we're reassigning it to a salesperson if they don't answer right away.
I see. Okay.
I also think the reassignment will happen if the AI call goes badly. If someone picks up and says, no, I want to talk to a real person, the AI will also indicate that so we can transfer it to the queue of a real person.
Yeah.
Most people are okay with AI, but there's still a subset that don't want to take those calls.
And during the escalation for a lead assignment, let's say once we assign it to the first person after the AI, are we sending them a message over a click, or is there a different software like Slack or something? How do we notify them that they got a lead to take care of?
Well, we're going to have the follow-up view. So we don't want those extra notifications because that's just going to be noise that they eventually stop checking. So the idea is that they'll be responsible to be on that follow-up view all day and checking to see when they need to contact a lead.
Just so you know, Roman, because you're going to run through this project for a long time. If you know my other businesses, I don't like to have clicks, notifications, pings. People work with a view. The view is updated automatically based on the most up-to-date information that the system will have, and people working based on that. So that's the general direction, because we will do also Zoho projects and we'll do more projects in the future.
Is there any criteria for the escalation for, like, let's say if this person didn't, so we said if this person didn't see it for 30 minutes and didn't take action, so we have another escalation to assign it to somebody else. Is that person another lead, or is there an escalation in role? Like, is that person higher in the hierarchy of roles, or that's the same role, just another lead?
No, Carol mentioned round robin. It's just going to go for the second assignment. It's going to go elsewhere. But Lior, after it's been through two people that it's not been dealt with, do you want to then have an escalation to somebody more senior?
If it's two people didn't respond, I need to be fired. I'm such a bad manager. So there won't be more than maybe one person will be very busy and they won't be able to pick up the phone. There won't be two people not responding. As long as this is during working hours, right? That's the only...
Right. Yeah.
That's also part of why we have the AI for after hours.
Yeah, it won't happen.
Once we get to the playbook here, the step-by-step transitions, we're going to have a few different stages. So we do have junk leads, which are going to differentiate between junk leads and lost leads. And we need the keep it spam extension so that if the same phone number sends in another junk lead after we've already marked it as spam, then it'll mark it as spam moving forward, and we don't have to keep clicking that button for the same lead. We will have our follow-up required transition. So in the case that we call someone and they give us a specific date and time to call back, then we'll just have the follow-up reason and the next follow-up pop up so that they can fill that out manually.
Okay, that works.
Uncontacted, we're going to have the same qualification questions that the AI is asking. So the idea here is that we're going to populate all of those questions and the answers if they've already answered them, just so that we can double check them before we're converting that lead.
And I'm still working on those, and I will provide all the fields that are required to be pop up to the salesperson whenever the salesperson is answering this phone call or they are talking to the lead. There is a chance, by the way, that there will be more than the maximum 9 fields, and we'll need to have more. In that case, I think we can go with a kiosk or a different option for the blueprint, and then we can have step-by-step screens.
Yeah, there is a limitation in the blueprint to have of having a max of 10 fields on the during transition. There are some workarounds that we have around it that we could potentially use also with layout rules, depending on the field dependencies that you might have. Or as you said, there's other options as well. There's the kiosk, or maybe if it is even a more complex process, we could even have a widget open up as part of the transition before the actual blueprint transition opens. So that is also something we could consider. But,
just in mind that we are right now talking only about the one pipeline, and that's the immigration pipeline. There will be 2 more pipelines. So this is why I was thinking about a widget for sure will be a fantastic option. And also a kiosk. I don't know if a blueprint will serve the need in this case. But we can talk about it whenever we are close to development.
And moving on, so if the lead is not answering the phone at all, we're going to go into our contact with no response. So for numbers 1, 2, 3, those phone calls will be made by the salesperson. If they're still not answering after the 3rd call, we're going to switch it over back to the AI, and attempts number 4 through 11 will be made by the AI. Now, if they're still not answering, 12 is the max number of times we're going to call them before we consider it a lost lead. So the last phone call needs to be made by the salesperson. So we'll do that last attempt to get a hold of them. And then if that's still no response, it's going to automatically go to lost lead. And the reason will be unresponsive because they're not answering the phone.
what if they responded to one of the AI calls, but it wasn't a successful call?
So when you say not successful, do you mean that they didn't like the AI or that they were not
Refused
qualified?
to disclose answers to questions? What do you mean by unsuccessful?
We can discuss both directions. So either they were being difficult, or they just said, I'm not interested in the service to the AI.
I think at that point it needs to switch back over to the salesperson, and they can give it one last attempt to get a hold of them because maybe they just didn't want to disclose to the AI. I think the only time it should be a lost lead is if they're actually not qualified.
Yeah, not qualified, or they just said not interested.
Yeah,
right?
if they use the words not interested, I think you should mark it as a lost lead.
Yeah, and also you guys raising a good point. If during the AI calls, so if you can go up 1 second on the Lucid.
Sure.
So we have the first and 2 attempts are done by human, and then the first 3 attempts are done by human. 4 to 11, it's all AI calls. If during the AI call someone answers and for some reason is not happy with the AI or having a question that the AI cannot answer, it must skip all those calls and go directly to follow-up required, and then a human will need to talk to them.
Makes sense.
Also, Carol, David, Roman, when the AI is calling, are we going to have a summary of the call and the recording of the call? Okay, so someone can actually review what went wrong. So I want also to improve the AI and also assist the client at the same time. So over time, there will be a perfect call.
Do you want the summary to come to you over email, or do you want the summary to be in the CRM record?
Please, the notes. Yeah, I just don't want a phone call, like notifications, emails.
In the notes of
clicks.
the CRM. Okay.
And then the last thing we have is, let's say that it's in lost lead, and then the lead re-engages with us in 3 months. What's going to happen, instead of creating a duplicate record in the system and losing all of that historical data that we had from the first time they were there, we're going to switch the stage to resurrected. It'll loop back around to the beginning of the process, and we'll start all over again as if they were a new lead.
Just one question, Carol. So how it's going to work? If, for example, the AI calls and there is no answer, an email will be sent and will say, hey, I tried to call you, there was no answer. Let me know, if you want to continue. If eventually after 12 attempts, it's becoming a lost lead,
Right.
and the person after 3 months responds to one of those emails,
Right.
then it will go to be resurrected, and a human will see it and will contact them. Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Yep.
That's
So it'll
great.
pop up on their follow-up view with the status resurrected.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
And it restarts the blueprint, the playbook.
Perfect.
And on the follow-ups, do we have any of those automations for emails or SMS? And if we do, are they automated or are they like optional during the blueprint transition?
So they're going to be optional when the human's reaching out, so they can choose. Probably we won't be doing SMS like Lior said, because everyone's in different countries. We can determine what we're going to do later on. So it'll either be email or WhatsApp. But again, we're running into that limitation with WhatsApp if we're trying to use that if they haven't initiated that conversation yet.
So for the email, we'll do email for now, and also I know what we talked last time, but now I'm thinking about it. I prefer the team not to think too much about the email. I just want them to have the call, and when there is no answer, an automatic email will be sent, and also based on the pipeline. So if it's immigration, there will be a different email being sent versus commercial or real estate. Bottom line, to take is to reduce as much as possible the thinking of the salesperson, so they can run through their day faster and make get more shit done.
Yeah, based on the growth plan you shared, you're going to have to be able to do that to keep your staffing levels low enough to maintain the growth you want with the cost containment.
So then,
One question. So we have a few ways that people can submit pre-qualification information into the system. Which one is from the Zoho form? There's the AI qualifying engine with the calls, and we have the WhatsApp that might be also asking them questions. I'm just wondering if we need another way to send them that form, like if, let's say, somebody manually creates a record in the system and it didn't go through any of these processes, do we want another way to send out a form, like, for example, like that Zoho form that they would need to sign in the end? Do we need a custom button that whenever we want to, on the lead level, we could just click a button and it would send them that form so they could just fill it in and sign it in case they didn't until that time?
That's a great point. I didn't think about that. In some cases, we load leads that are already in process, so there is no need. So if it can be an optional, so send form yes, no, that will be beautiful, because sometimes we load people, but we don't have their details. And we will say, expect for an email and then fill it. That will be great.
Yeah, we can just
save lots of time.
You just have a custom button that will be specifically for this, and you can click it whenever you want, if you want to.
Amazing.
Okay, sounds good.
Right. Good point. Okay, so then once we get a hold of the lead, we pre-qualify them. What we're going to do is convert them. So then it'll go into one of the three pipelines. We've only built out the immigration pipeline up until this point. So that's what we're going to be going over today, is the immigration pipeline. So the lead will be converted. We'll create the opportunity, and we are renaming deals to opportunities in the system, just so you know. The very first step is to book a consultation meeting. This consultation meeting will be online because people are in different countries, different places. So we'll reach out to them to book that. They can also book this themselves via a link.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Let's say for immigration pipeline, and we know that they're going to be interested in immigration back in the lead, on the lead level. When it's immigration, it is most likely going to involve other people in the family. Do we collect that information about other members of the family on the lead level, or we only start talking about it here on the deal level? And once we start finding out about those other people, do we add them to the system? And Where, if yes, where do we add them in the system?
So, answer to the first question, as you know, the process of qualification at the lead level, it's just to qualify to determine if we should engage deeper and get more information. So, I don't think we need to find out if it's for 1 people or 3 people at the lead level. We just want to know, is this a serious opportunity? I think once it flips at the deal level, that's when you need to do the inquiries as to, is this 1 people, 3 people, what are the different ages and so on, and that will all be done at the deal level. And
Yeah.
what was the second part of your question was?
So a lot of that is what the consultation meeting is for. So we're booking an
Right.
online consultation meeting, we're jumping on a Zoom call with them, and that's where we're getting all of the details. So who's immigrating, what's going on, when do you want to immigrate by? So that's when all of those questions are going to be asked, is on this consultation meeting.
So once we know, let's say that there is additional members to the family, do we add them to the CRM?
No, not at that point. So once we are, as David and Carol said, the moment that we have this meeting, we dig deeper into more details, but also the customer or the client is going to ask more questions. After that, 50% of the time it will end up with something in the future, and maybe or nothing. And 50% of the time it will continue to some kind of an engagement. We are going to send them a form. I prefer that it will be a form that whenever it's being filled, some information, not all, but some information will be pushed back to the CRM. So the client will need to answer, let's say, how many dependents, if he's married, which country, questions. Again, each case will have a little bit different questions.
Yeah.
And eventually, based on that, we'll know how much to charge them or what if we can even offer the service.
So I'm wondering, in a successful case, let's say if they are willing to proceed, and let's say they have 3 members, they have a husband, wife, and a kid, and the husband is the one that is part of the opportunity, but I'm not sure if there is any documentation that is required for immigration process from the Cyprus side. Let's say if there isn't documentation involved, like let's say medical records or something, or passports and stuff, I'm wondering, like, once we're going to be gathering that information, because that's probably going to be required per person, are we storing it on an individual level, like we create a contact and we store documentation per contact, or are we storing it all in one place, in one record?
You are talking about, you have very good questions.
But you're getting into operational.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it in a few minutes, because I know that Carol and David have it in the in this playbook that we created. There will be a portal that is going to manage all these details.
Oh, I see.
The main reason is we have lots of lawyers, accountants, people from the business sides, insurance agents that works with us. And I don't want to move information to them. I don't want to be a hub. Client tells me something, I tells the lawyer something. I want the lawyer to be able to access the portal, and the lawyer is responding to whatever and checking the documents without me being involved.
I see.
The moment that I do that, I save about 50 Zoho licenses.
That makes total sense. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, there's a whole other level of practitioner engagement that's a separate portal and a separate almost piece of work to create that portal, but also there's going to be a recruiting practitioners and qualifying practitioners before they can even participate in that area. So that's a whole other aspect of the business that we're going to support Lior with.
For the online consultation meeting, the idea is that if they book this meeting via the link, it will automatically convert the lead into an opportunity and switch it to this stage, online consultation meeting booked. And that way, if they want to just jump right into that, we're not having to do all of that manual work.
And for booking meetings, what are we using?
So we wanted to use Zoho bookings, and then we're going to host them on Zoom.
One thing, Roman, I know that you already have experience with that. So we have GoHighLevel AI that is going to also need to work with the booking meetings, not in this case, but in general, Do you see a problem using Zoho bookings with GHL AI?
Okay, so there might be a little issue with integrating the Zoho bookings for a GHL, because GHL prefers its own calendar management system to manage bookings. So we just need to look into that, because that might be an issue there. All right.
Okay, thank you for raising the flag. We'll check it out.
Okay, so
So Carol, I will need
Yep.
to come back to you with if we are okay with the GHL calendar system.
Yeah. So once the consultation meeting is booked, in case they weren't able to make it and it's a no-show, you can determine at this stage whether we want to book a new meeting or if we want to move this to closed lost. So it'll be up to your discretion based on how you're feeling about the client, if they're going to show up next time. If you decide to book a new meeting, it will loop back around to booking that meeting. Now, if we actually had the meeting, we'll just ask for some notes on meeting held in case there's anything we need to capture there. And then we'll go down to document collection. So this is kind of what you were getting into, Roman. So at document collection, this is when we're going to send the portal access to the client to fill out their documents.
Sorry, just one quick question about the meeting held. Do we want some, so from my understanding, this interview is quite important and will kind of be a deciding factor whether we continue with the opportunity or maybe it's not qualified. In the meeting held, do we want something to, like a field that would say, was the meeting successful or not? And then if you say no, then it just goes to
lost lead.
The opportunity is killed. And if it's successful, then it continues to document collection.
So two things. One, lost lead is always available, and that's part of the blueprint. And 50% of the cases, it will go to lost lead. One more step is not here because I don't have the details yet, and I promise Carol that I will provide it. And this is financial side. Right now, we are charging based on relationships. So some people that are referred from specific people, I'm charging only the end of the process. Some people that I don't know, it will be in the beginning. Obviously, it's not a way to run a business, for sure, if you want to scale it up. So I need to come up with a system that will work for everyone. So this is why this step is not in the system yet, just so you know.
Do you have any other questions about the portal, since we kind of already went into that before we move on?
Yeah, let's just go over that one more time.
Okay.
So the portal is going to be, from my understanding, is going to be used for storing documentation, and different parties are going to have access to that portal so that we don't have to move the documents ourselves. How is the structure going to be done? So essentially on the portal, like once we have an opportunity, at what point there's going to be an instance created like for managing the documentation for that opportunity? Is it like on creation of opportunity, or do we create it only when we reach a certain stage?
When we reach document collection is when we need to create that, because we don't want to be creating it if they're just going to be lost.
Yeah,
right. So we want to get through that initial meeting, make sure it's serious, and then at that point we will create the instance and send them access.
That makes sense. How do we assign access? So for example, we have an opportunity. We're not necessarily storing, or maybe we are storing on an opportunity, any related lawyers involved or any other partners that are going to be working on this opportunity. We need to grant access to that portal to certain people. How do we decide who we grant access to, and how do we send those invites?
So say the internal team has access to it. First of all, there's an administrator panel to do some of the administration in terms of when you want to bring a new practitioner in and so on. But the internal team will be also working the queue. And when it gets instantiated in document collection, then they're going to oversee the engagement of the practitioners to go acquire those documents and review those documents.
I think one thing we could also use is Zoho natively has roles on the opportunity, right? So we can use that to determine who's going to work with who. And
okay,
so
but is that going to be the direction that we're going? Like, are we going to be identifying on each opportunity the involved parties, and then we can say, okay, all of those involved parties could have access to the portal? Or are we going to be somehow in a custom way specifying to who we want to share that portal? to be able to
I
access.
think if it's okay with you, Lior, I think having the people connected to the opportunity having access, because the less manual work, the better. Lior's trying to scale without hiring more manpower, so we need to automate as much as we can.
For the web portal, we have an existing portal system that we already created. I am going to reuse most of what was created. Think about it as 3 stages. Stage number 1, you have a vendor management system that vendors can participate in the portal. If, for example, David wants to be one of the vendors, he will be able to register. He will be able to upload all his certifications, licenses, everything that by law is supposed to have in order for me to work with him. Only people that are qualified as vendors, only them, they will be able to be part of the system, that they can be part of what, connect with the client. So if, for example, right now, Carol came as a client and she's coming for immigration, I will be able to have, based on the pipeline, all the documents that are related to Carol, for example, a birth certificate, a criminal record check, all those will be automatically populated in the portal, so the client will know what he needs to upload.
I understand the concept, but my main problem is with access, because you mentioned that vendors are going to be able to register on the portal and they're going to be able to access the information, but they need a per opportunity based access. They cannot access all opportunities. So how do we grant access to per vendor, per opportunity?
So that's what I wanted to finish when I said a vendor will be assigned to the opportunity. Sometimes I will have one and sometimes more. Sometimes we are working on deals with let's say, business people. They will need to have incorporation for their business. They will need to have connection on the government level, which we have connection with, and we need to help them. And they will also need to lease a place, and that will be a real estate. So we will have multiple individuals connected to one opportunity, and all of them can see some or all the information.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't want the team really to be too much connected to it. I want the team to be able to see a list of vendors that are approved and also related to the same pipeline, and they will be able to choose one based on their preference. All the data will be shared with the CRM seamlessly. I don't want, too much human touch.
I mean, that would mean that in some of the stages before the document collection, we're going to have to ask the user to provide the vendors included in this opportunity, so that we know once we get to the stage of collection that we need to assign access to those particular vendors.
Brilliant. Perfect. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Sounds good.
So then when we click on the document collection, this is when we can assign the right vendors.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. And then it'll go to internal review at that point. So the idea is that the client will submit all of their documentation. There will be a notification at that point saying, hey, everything's uploaded. And then it'll go into an internal review where it's going to be manually reviewed and make sure it's exactly what was being asked for. If something is off and it's not exactly what was needed, then it'll loop back into document collection. This can happen as many times as needed to get everything perfect.
Who needs to review the documents? Are the vendors responsible to review the documents as well?
No, it's internally. Because we are...
Well, it depends what you mean by review, right? Internally, it's the checklist. Is it present? Is it present? Isn't present? But in terms of document quality and document content, that's going to have to be the practitioners, correct?
Yes. So the practitioners will check that. But let's assume that Roman uploaded his criminal record check, and that was in June last year. I know that you will not pass, Roman, but in any case, when our team is checking the documents, and that's the added value that we bring, we will see that it's already past 6 months since the last criminal record. We know that if we send it to the government, it will not pass. It will be rejected. So we will check it internally, even though other professionals already checked it.
I'm just wondering, just because I'm wondering if there is a need for notifications when different parties are reviewing the document, if they need to have an indication available on the portal that they will say, let's say a lawyer went and reviewed, and he could say, I reviewed, and then it would send a notification to CRM, lawyer reviewed the documents or something like that. Is that something that is
absolutely needed? It's in the system. When the client uploads a document, the professional is getting a notification. They have a way to approve it or comment. When they comment, the client gets notification and they can upload the second version, and we keep all the revisions. All the data exists in WorkDrive because we need it secure, HIPAA compliant, and all those security checks.
Makes sense. Okay.
Lior, as you scale your business and want to get more and more sophisticated, I think some of those QA checks can be automated and done by AI, like expiry, like older than 6 months, things that have to be younger than 6 months. We can be OCRing those documents, parsing that information, and then doing that initial quality check.
Let's do it, David. I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay.
Whatever we can remove from manpower. Look, with manpower, we have two problems, right? We're all humans. We make mistakes, and we are working in a certain amount of hours every day. AI works all the time, and it's always doing the same thing.
Just one little, not to burst the bubble or anything, but AI OCR is not AI OCR is not that good just yet, at least from my experience. So that means that there could be quite a bit of false positives. Or
I will tell you something,
no,
Roman.
We split the OCR. We don't have the AI do the OCR. We have a sophisticated OCR tool, like Google's got a really good OCR tool, and then we give it to the AI for the quality check and the confirmation. AI is really good at taking in data, structured data, but creating the OCR structure of data, that we'll use a specialized tool for that.
Nice.
We have one of our customers. Obviously, we are on a session that will be public. I won't say the name, but it's an insurance company receiving insane amount of content coming in. We are OCRing driving licenses and bunch of other information. And after all the revisions that we have 100% accuracy in the last 6 months.
That's very impressive, actually. Well, I agree that if you use a separate OCR engine, it's definitely going to produce much better results. But in your specific case, you should definitely also take into consideration that people might be submitting scanned documents, which is going to make the OCR job quite a bit harder. But it's definitely something that a path that we should explore, because that would reduce significantly the amount of time from your employees.
Yeah, obviously PDF is desirable where possible. There are things too, like when you mentioned driver's license, I don't know if you're aware of this, on the back of a driver's license, there's something that's very similar to kind of QR code. It's a formatted structure on the back of a driver's license. If we scan that, then you get all the information from the driver's license. There's no need to OCR it. So having some knowledge about what the document type is. So that whole document collection portal is going to be fairly sophisticated in terms of how it gets the data. And again, PDF where possible is, that you're almost 100% on OCRing when you've got a PDF, filled PDF.
You are not in this department, Roman, but we have a department that is just dealing with the portal that is collecting documents. And we have it for the financial sector to collect documents for loans and the mortgages and so on, and insurance. It's really, really nice. Obviously you will see it, but it's very nice.
It sounds really useful. I like it.
All right. And so after the internal review, it's going to be booking an in-person review. So this is important to be in person because they have to actually have a wet signature on the documents, or else it won't be accepted. So we have to actually book that and help them with all of their accommodations. So if they need a car, what flight they're going to be on, where are they staying. So all of that is going to be discussed while we're booking this meeting, so that we can make sure we get them to the office.
And for this stage, Carol, I know that I'm behind, but I need to give you a checklist all the items that will be discussed in this meeting. So let's say taking the customer from the airport to their villa, stuff like that. All that is obviously optional, and I will provide it.
Okay, perfect. So that'll be all on booking the meeting. That'll be discussed on that phone call. And then we have it once the meeting is actually booked. We do have no-show. It's very unlikely that someone's not going to show up at this point. We just have it there just in case, though.
Sorry, just a quick question. For the in-person interview, do we need any confirmation, since we know that people are coming from overseas and it's an in-person meeting? And in order to have a solid confirmation, do we need any proof that people book their flight or something like that to make sure
No
that...
need.
No?
No need. If someone spent, 5, 6, 7,000 euros and is lying that he's going to come to a meeting.
And then once we have that meeting, at that point, we're going to have the file submission. So we will submit all of the files and that wet signature that we received from them. And for here, we need a reminder every month to the salesperson that this is ongoing and that we need to check the status of it. So we're going to ask for the submission date on the stage, and that reminder will be every month based on this submission date.
So
and then,
are we doing for this something similar to the follow-up view, where they will be able to have their submissions view, like what's outstanding? Okay.
And then from there, it'll be approved. And once it's approved, this is technically closed one.
And we said at this time, we're not planning anything related to payment collections and stuff like that.
Not yet. That'll come in the near future.
I suppose to have one system that will work for everyone.
He's got some homework to do.
I have lots of homework to do, yes. Difficult to work in Cyprus, by the way.
I can see.
It's
the
too
is
much
horrible.
fun. Too much funnier, so...
If it was easy, you wouldn't need the Cyprus Advantage.
That's right.
So Roman, now that we've gone through the leads and the deal system, I think you need to have a session on the technology side. So I know you'll connect with Jatin, you'll take him through the detailed level. You've got a few notes from this in terms of like the technical limitations. He may have some suggestions around it. Plus also when we get off into architecture on parsing out the different tools in the portal, he's got a good understanding of that kind of thing. So in order to have a complete architecture and a complete plan, have that sort of technical conversation with him. And then if you could get back to Carol and I and let us know if there's any other obstacles, anything that we need to go back to the customer for, we can then do a handoff with you as well, with the customer directly.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
You're awesome.
Thanks.
You.
Take care.
So that was episode 3 out of 4. Roman's fresh set of eyes immediately started surfacing edge cases and technical gaps that needed to be resolved before anyone writes a single line of code. That's exactly why this step exists. The blueprint is solid, but now comes the part that determines whether if it's all actually works, the technical deep dive. In episode number 4, the final episode, Roman and I sit with Jatin, our CTO. We are going to go over GoHighLevel, AI qualification, UTM tracking, the document portal. The hard technical questions finally get answered. Subscribe, like this video, and I will see you in the final episode. And if you like the ABR team to architect your CRM, check the link in the description below or just scan the QR code on screen. I will see you in episode number 4, the final episode.